Hello, my name is Eric Moore. I would like to thank our sponsor, Practical English Promotion Systems of Japan, for sponsorship of this month's interview. Thank you. Hello, my name is Eric Moore. I'm host of the English Language Testing Society's Testing in 10 Interviews. And I'm here today with Tom Shandorf of the American Language Center, the Istituto Americano. And good afternoon to you, Tom.
Good afternoon. It's very, very nice to be with you.
And a pleasure to have you on with me today. Thank you. So we'll get into a few questions. And you're based in Florence, Italy, at the Instituto Americano. And what percentage of your business is devoted to testing and assessment and test preparation?
Good questions. It's something actually, Eric, that we're evaluating now more than ever after the pandemic. The different services that we offer here at the school, which really range from teaching English in small groups, individual lessons, off-site corporate training, teacher training, study abroad. They all seem to be linked, and this is kind of the discovery that we've come across this past year. They all seem to be linked very, very intensely by testing and assessment. If I had to say right now, giving a percentage, it would be around 30% of our business is devoted to testing. But basically, we're seeing that language testing, and when I say that, our center does a lot of the high stakes exams. We're a testing center for TOEFL, for ITEP, for SAT, ACT, GRE. We're seeing that testing really complements so many of the other activities that we do. You need language tests to study abroad. You need language tests to progress up a level. You need language tests to fit into our college advising and counseling program. So we're really seeing that the DNA of the school has really been closely, I think, defined by testing. An interesting conclusion that we're really pursuing right now.
Interesting, yes. And how does all the testing, the assessment, test preparation, how does that fit in with your college counseling programming?
It fits in really well. We started the college advising and counseling program many years ago, just because we found that in a lot of Italian high schools, which are excellent in terms of didactics and curriculum, there was no counselor or no guidance given to students that were interested in pursuing a university education outside of Italy. And so we discovered that a lot of the students were looking for ways to apply to American and British and European universities. And of course, they needed English language testing. So being a test center, of course, helped us. It helped us recruit students. Students found us. But it also helped us to show students that one of the aspects that they really needed to work on to be able to go to college or university abroad was achieving a competitive test score. So in that sense, it's probably the service that is most closely linked to testing. And we've developed a lot of test preparation courses, both group and individual, and of course now online because of the pandemic. But it's also something that we've found has really increased the awareness on the part of the students and high schools in general of the need for global or international language certification.
Would you say that this has led to students hoping to just learn to pass the test or get the English needed to get a great score on TOEFL, IELTS, ITEP, the various tests, or have they are they still interested in learning English to be able to communicate well with others?
That's a really good question, and it's I think maybe one of the characteristics that distinguishes our program, and that is what we call test prep is I think much more based on a holistic language approach. Of course, we're very conscious of getting students the competence that they need to score well on the tests. Of course, that is. But we're also equally, if not more concerned that those test scores reflect a real competency in the four skills of the language. And I think students know that. Everything that we do here in terms of teaching, whether it's general English or business English or legal English or medical English or test preparation, really, I think has a context in everyday communication and the practicality of very functional contemporary English. We've seen students, and Italians are sometimes very good at this, that will say, just give me what I need to pass the test. And we normally send those students to a competitor.
Yes, okay, that may be the best fit for them. We've had students in my institution where they're with an outright measure or mention of the fact that this working on this exercise will likely help you with your proficiency level test. They seem to perk up when I mention that in the class rather than sort of embedding it as it is in the textbooks in our lessons.
Yeah. Well, and I think, the question that you asked before about, linking testing to our college advising, we're really, very concerned about how the students do after they go to college and after they get into university. And, even though they're no longer under our supervision or language training, we really do care that they're able to make the most of that experience. As you can imagine, for Italian students, going to university in England or the United States represents a considerable investment on their part, financial and of course emotional and educational. So we really care that they're able to exploit these opportunities really well with language fluency. So that's kind of driving, I think, the approach that we have of test preparation in the context of very strong communication.
Now you had all this going, and as you mentioned, English lessons for test prep, for medical purposes, all sorts of areas. And then COVID-19, of course, the pandemic came. And how did the pandemic experience affect the Institute and its students?
Dramatically, but not as dramatically as it seemed back when it hit in February. The school this year is celebrating its 62nd year. And having that history has meant that we've had a very stable following and loyal community here in Florence and in Tuscany. And we really found when we had to switch everything online, because we had done very little online, we found that the students were incredibly receptive and extremely supportive of that move. It also meant in terms of reflecting on how things were going to develop, not knowing how long the pandemic was going to last, that we were able to identify testing as something that probably was crucial to so many students that that could no longer count on fixed test dates or testing calendars where they could be assured to take a particular test. So just as we switched everything online, at-home testing or remote testing, whether it was the TOEFL at home or particularly ITEP, which we work with a lot, we saw that testing was something that was actually becoming even more important. Students were even more interested in strengthening their skills to get ready for college or university or I think a business approach. The area that I think probably took the biggest hit for us was our teacher training. We have a division, which is a company that I own, called Via Lingua TEFL, and 75% of the students at the center in Florence and all of the centers worldwide typically are American. And so with the travel ban, that number really dropped, of course. But even that, forced us to sort of recruit locally. And we trained a lot of Italian teachers, which was good. So all things considered, the reflections are still definitely going on. And we're very optimistic about the lessons that we've learned.
I think, as you mentioned, it's interesting that the being able to train a large group, perhaps of native Italian speakers instructing English, it might be a great thing, might be a hidden blessing in some ways from the difficulties of the last year to 2 years. That's
Yes.
Good.
Yes. And we found that they know English grammar better than many other students. So that has made it very nice for us.
Right. That's one thing we sometimes argue with as a native speaker with non-native speakers. I've had a lot of non-native speakers tell me, you, as in people like myself, are have a lot of work to do as far as teaching and understanding what grammatical difficulties the learners will have. Well, my last question for you, I was going to ask you, you've got a wealth of experience both in the United States and in Italy. How do you think language educators can best prepare test takers?
What I think is really key, Eric, is to find a way to fit testing into each student's life in some way. Of course, it's a vehicle for demonstrating language awareness and competency. But I think a good school or a good educator is looking at testing as a way to get the students really motivated to do as much as they can with the language. And it's not just for the piece of paper, it's for the fact that I think the certifications or the testing that we offer is global. This generation, the high school generation, definitely here, and university generation in Italy, is very global and very mobile. And I think they're really trying to get a certain degree of excellence in language that test preparation can provide. We're very proud to be part of the students' pathway and journey. And testing, I think, is very much a milestone for some students. It opens a lot of doors. And we're very glad to be part of that process. It is really exciting for us.
Great. Well, Tom, a great pleasure to talk with you. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me today for the Testing in 10. And I look forward to speaking with you sometime again. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and best of luck with the society.
Thank you.
Take care.
Once again, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Practical English Promotion Systems of Japan, for sponsoring this Testing in 10 interview session. Thank you very much.